All right, welcome back, everybody. This week, as we tackle our part 2 and final part of Bramble. It's been a while since we recorded the first part, so I think I remember what happened last time we played. But either way, since we played it, since we record, But Preston's gonna help us out and take us through.
I played it
You all knew when I was getting back. It's not like you couldn't wait.
Oh well, I played it like immediately. So let's dive into part 2.
I waited, Preston.
Gee, thank you. All right, Bramble Part 2. I just want to start us off with a little, I'm sorry. I knew this was going to be a dark game. I did not realize how dark this game was going to fucking get. So for anyone who was like, Jesus Christ, Preston, I didn't know. I know now, and I'm sorry if it upset you.
I don't see the problem.
But some really fucked up shit happens in Part 2. All right, so as last time, we fell off the waterfall, Nakin grabbed us, and we fell down into this little pit. Nakin is definitely dead, and we start to get up. We struggle to get up after the fall, pressing little buttons here and there. The game fades to black and white, where you are going back up the mountain, so it's not only weird dreamscapes. You get up to the top of the mountain, and then the bramble starts closing in around you at the top. And then a bright light comes out. Goes back to the normal world, whatever you want to call that. And Ollie struggles along a little bit further and finds a glowing blonde girl by the water. You collapse in her lap, and she recharges your light. Her name is Tuva. And she tells you to follow the light, and you will find what you search for in the mountain. So you go traveling along, clearing paths of bramble. A lot of these brambles have thicker spots with flowers that you can just...
Preston, let me ask you. I'm not going to ask Christian because Christian's just going to poo-poo me. Did you find Tuva a little out of place, like oddly attractive for how young the main character is? So I couldn't tell, Tuva, are you old or are you young? It was very weird.
No, she's pretty in the sense that everything around her is gross, but I do not think that anyone tried to make her attractive in any means.
I disagree with that. I do. I think she's older, but it was
weird. But that's not how I felt at all.
That's why I said I wasn't gonna
crazy take. You're right. I am gonna do that. Preston's 100% correct. You are wrong. I don't know what was happening in your playthrough, but you are on some freak shit, and you can do that by yourself.
That sounds like I'll ask Preston, not Christian, here on this one. So that's funny.
Yeah. No, she's just supposed to be a very pretty, bright girl in the midst of all this horrible shit happening.
I mean, she's supposed to be something magical, right? She's not a regular girl.
Sure
it just seemed like she was supposed to be like an angelic character.
To me, it was like the lady in the lake kind of thing going on, because she's by water. She's very bright and shiny, and obviously she could attract people, but maybe not in that way, I would think. We have a character later on.
But she seemed to kind of bring us, I don't want to say back to life, but revitalize us, right? She had power.
I mean, she revitalized your light. Your light, if you tried it, it would just stutter, and you wouldn't be able to use it. But it's charges it back up for you.
Yeah, it seemed like she was just like an angel.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, some type of celestial fable.
Yes.
Yeah. So you charge up your light. You start clearing out some bramble. At the end, you get to a big wide shot of the distance with the mountain. A king statue, a town, and then what I thought was cute was Lemus is just in the back there. I was like, hi. I'm like, oh, hey, Lemus, what's up? What's going on, man? And you wave back at him. I thought that was nice. There's not a whole lot of nice things that happen in the story, so you take them where you can get them.
I just imagine there's a fucking Steam community comment somewhere, and it's just Alex's burner account. He's like, yo, anyone kind of find Tuva kind of fucking hot? Is it just me? Or
Don't check the community page of that. Do not go to the artwork section. It's gonna be bad. Rule 34 is
I guarantee you
right now.
I guarantee you, because anytime you tap on the Steam community page, you go, it's a 50-50 shot of can I scroll once, or do I need to leave this page immediately before it gets inappropriate? Yeah. I guarantee you, there are people out there not with the account name Alex Slaughter that have probably had
I think
Salix Otter 069 over
yeah,
here.
I think you and those people should be on a list
I
somewhere.
think we need to get away from this topic. But yes, you get the
We
distance.
don't just
What's
because
up?
she's angelic doesn't. We don't know how old she is. She could be thousands of years old in this lore.
Oh gee! Oh my God!
The
my little
the
sister is
fucking
actually
anime.
a 30,000-year-old elf.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
here
I'll
we
go.
go.
I'll
dude.
go with the. I'll go with the Preston. I'll go with the Preston Riku argument. No, she's older.
No,
She's
my
older.
argument was I was the same age when I found out about her. You were not a child when you played this game, okay?
I'm a child at heart, Preston. You don't know me.
Okay, yeah. All right. Continuing on, big wide shot, mountain, king statue town, Lemus. Great, we're back. You slide down to the top of the town where a large bramble flower is there, like a spotlight. Goes bright on and off as you sneak by, hiding in the shadows. This one took me a while. I did not realize what we were doing.
I liked this part. I thought.
I did not know what was going on, so I'm I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna run over to this one because there's one thing out in the distance, and maybe I need to like bring it down so I can jump on top and jump away. And they just kept on grabbing the houses and shit. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm like, fine, I'll finally go and look up what I'm supposed to do here because I'm trying not to do that. Look it up. I'm like, oh, this is just like the troll in the light thing. It's like it just goes on and off. I'm like, okay, now I felt really fucking stupid when I figured that one out. Well, when I looked it up. So you get past this little area right here, and at the very end of it, nope. You climb up to the Mountain King statue, and then you get chased by more Bramble across the rooftops, and then you see Lemus at the end to give you a helping hand. Here starts the most unsettling area in the whole game. So the narrator talks about mothers bringing their babies. And I put down here, I hate it already. You emerge from the tall grass to a scarecrow with an animal skull and someone inside. So when you go up to it and press the button, you see a little eyeball rolling around and shit. That's gave me a
It's
little
like
bit
following you. If you like walk around, like it'll follow you. Yeah.
It was
Reminded me
that
a
was
little
an
bit-
interesting touch. Yeah.
reminded me a little bit of mouthwashing as far as the dude, this eyeball.
Sure. The creepiness. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like all wrapped up. Yeah.
Yep.
That's fair.
They do nothing. So you walk past them like this. I know Christian mentioned to me when the jump scares happen, because I don't remember them if they did happen. But I will say that through this entire part 2, I appreciate them because there's so many times where I was almost expecting a jump scare. Like when you're walking past a scarecrow, when you're walking past this or that, I'm like, there's a lot of dead bodies in certain parts of these areas. I'm expecting something to move and jump at me, and I don't remember them doing that at all.
Both of them are in the village.
Okay. With the
So like when the
zombies.
houses are pitch black and you can't do
Okay, I know what
anything,
you're talking
yeah.
about. No, I'm good on that. All right, so
Christian is one the fight itself.
The fight.
There's a boss fight
We'll
here
get
in
to
this
it.
area
Yeah,
at the end
we'll
that
get to
I think that might have been the only place I got jump scared.
I gotcha. We'll talk about it when we get there. So you head through this marsh villa, platforming around the water with wooden walkways. Sometimes you run into a bunch of these tiny dark shadows with glowing eyes. You end up coming to a home with a potion puzzle to unlock a fiery door. So this is kind of a cool spot to where the door has a little bit of flames coming from the bottom of it. The house is not necessarily on fire. You just can't open the door. But there's a symbol on there. And as you're walking around kind of inspecting things in detail throughout there, you will see like a potion that has a triangle, a potion that has a circle on it, a potion that has 3 circles on it. And depending on what the detail is on the door, you would grab a couple of these potions because you can pick up to look at it and you press another button to like hold on to that symbol. You go to the little witch's pot and you brew up yourself a potion, and then you can kind of take out the fire. And I thought that was a kind of a fun little potion puzzle. In the room, you find a book. This is not your normal fable book. It's a dark magic book. And the narration turns into a creepy whisper detailing the horrible spell requiring baby sacrifice so a witch can turn into a god and be no longer lonely.
Completely normal.
It's totally normal. This is fine. Just the narrator changing to a whisper is just completely fine. Normal. You hear a baby, and you see the witch preparing a noose. You think that she catches you real quick as far as eyesight, so you dip down a little bit, and she ends up leaving the baby. Here was kind of this new little platforming thing to where it's like you're finding books in the room. It's a stack on top so you can reach out a ledge because the door's locked. So once you leave the room, you get the narrator popping in saying that Ollie's in a hurry before she kills the baby. Narrator tells us that the midwife plans to stop us. She wants more dark souls. So I'm taking into account those little glowing-eyed dark shadows are going to be the dark souls. And
Yeah, they're all babies.
I was going to say, the more you put two and two together, you figure out they're probably just a bunch of sacrificed babies. A lot of them. You end up getting to a spot where you're like pulling a platform to kind of like boat yourself across towards the same scarecrow from before. This is the midwife she's talking about. You use lights to knock her down as far as arms and such off the scarecrow thing. And then that's where she dips into the water and a boss battle ensues. So during this time, the midwife will be kind of like under the water. You'll see bubbles and stuff where like she's kind of going into. Sometimes a baby boat pops up. I thought we were trying to save those baby boats, so I was trying to hit them with the light every time they popped up. Apparently it doesn't do anything.
It does not, no.
It does not. And then she will try to pop up every once in a while instead to grab you, and you just got to hit her with the light, and you're fine. This is the midwife, and it's called, get ready for me to butcher it, Carhaxon? Carhaxon?
She is very, very unsettling.
She is, yeah. The whole, like, it's like almost like, not, I guess it would be a midwife outfit. I was going to say a maid, but it's like a midwife outfit. It's like a blue with like a little apron on it, and then just the whole fucking skull, and she just comes out of the water with like her arm reaching out for you. Super unsettling. So you hit her a couple times. You can get past the area. You continue clearing out more bramble, and you find the witch with the baby. She goes into a house, putting up a little spell on the outside. So now you have to go over, and as you go over there, you get chased by bramble again. You get to the water, and you do some platforming with something in the water chasing after you, kind of like what we dealt with the like the bloody water, where we kind of pushed that little crate of goblins. No, gnomes. You push that little crate of gnomes. Kind of the same thing. Towards like you see like a little ridge in the water coming after you as you're trying to get out, and then also more dark souls there at the end of this little water section. You end up finding the witch. She's hanging in a tree. And then you find a little puddle passed out with a bunch of candles around it, which is the baby in a shallow puddle. You're too late. I put down here, Jesus, what the fuck game, and then you bury the baby. If you were looking for details in the levels in the houses beforehand, you do find a duck. It's the baby's duck, and when you do bury it, it puts like the little toy duck with the burial. Continuing on from that depressing ass spot,
I understood from that the baby was dead regardless. Like I don't think there was ever a realistic chance that Ollie was gonna actually save that baby. I gathered that all of these were spirits and that baby was.
I assumed this was like a new sacrifice. Like this is like a
the baby was alive until she sacrificed and then hung herself. But while she was chasing, because the baby was crying while she was running from you, so the baby was definitely alive.
Yeah, so unless like we're just saying,
right. I mean, like you heard noises and other stuff throughout, so yeah, I just kind of thought that like that's a good point, Preston. To that, like you're almost experiencing the last moments.
I personally felt that this
like,
was
that witch hanging
a
herself
new
is kind of how I
sacrifice because with how many dark souls you see in that water, like shit's never stopping, dog. Like that's and the midwife wants to stop you because if you stop her from sacrificing the baby, that's out. Then it gets to that here in a second. I even put that in the notes. So yeah, I even put the notes that she's chasing after you because she doesn't want you to stop the sacrifice to happen. That's why she tried to stop you in the middle of that water. You continue on. You find the man with the light and follow, like Tuva asked. You end up in this like library, kind of like a Matrix library, like the world in between worlds kind of thing, with a gentleman who had the light. And I'm gonna get ready for me to butcher this one. The Lichtgubble is their name, and read about the story of the Bramble King, at least part 1. It's a mention of the king and the queen were trying really hard to have a kid. They finally get a kid. It's a son. The wife of the queen dies in childbirth. And then after, they grow up together as far as the king and the prince, he ends up getting pretty sick. So there is this rumor that there's a flower that witches might be able to get that could be the only cure for his son. So he does what most white people do, or white men, and he goes on a witch hunt. So a witch hunt ensues.
What?
Long way around to that joke, but I get it.
Yeah. So you get that little part one of the story of the king about them starting a witch hunt, essentially just to get the flower to cure his son. And you end up leaving the library after that. You see your sister.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, thank you. You see your sister and you chase after her, only to find out that you were being lured by what's called a changeling. This starts up another boss battle. And you use the trees to avoid attacks. So this changeling in the middle is very attractive, at least I thought, outside of the big gash in their back. Alex, if you want to kind of go there, I did find her attractive. If you want to bring that up. I don't know if you want to.
If you'd like to go
I
there,
knew I'd win you over eventually, Preston.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
if that's what you're taking from this,
I loved this.
This is a very cool fight.
More than just the fight, the music was awesome.
Fantastic.
In this part.
So this one, the boss kind of stays in the middle. You kind of go around her, and she's got like a one kind of like a throw hit, like a range hit, and then she has like an area effect to it. Kind of she's like a wave of blood that comes out, and a couple other attacks that kind of come out here and there the further you get down in there. But what you're essentially doing is there is a bunch of hooded figures that are like, I guess I'm essentially nailed to the trees. So you're needing to take them out with the light, because if you try to hit her with the light, you can kind of see the strands going out to those hooded figures. So they're like shielding her. So you got to take down the shields essentially, and then you can hit her. Once you get her, knock her down, you can come over there. You try to bash the gash, is what I put on here, and you get knocked off a couple times, and it continues to ensue and escalate. So different type of attacks, more like area effects. The robed figures are in the trees now. The third phase, all the trees are gone, and you're in this field. And she's got the hooded figures just kind of floating around her. And then she does these, it's not really random, but it's just like, okay, they're going to attack multiple spots around you and possibly where you're standing. So you can't just know where the attack is, stop, shoot. You have to be like, okay, well, I have to stop and shoot, but I have to make sure that one of these like emissions of light are not going to come out of the ground and hit me. And I thought that this is where I noticed that the field of view when you're aiming is very well done, specifically for this boss as well. Because if there is one of those hit points, or like those lights that are going to pop out, you can slightly see it from the left or the right of you. So it's really easy to be like, okay, no, I need to move, or hey, no, I can't shoot here. Which I thought was really nice, because that was my first worry, was going to be like, man, I got to run around here and just hope I'm not going to get fucking hit. But then every time I tried to do it and I was about to get hit, I could see the light coming up from the left or right side of Ollie, because you're kind of more zoomed in that way, which I thought was really nice. You get down those couple phases. She ends up showing a mimic of your sister and crushes it. That upsets Ollie, pisses him off a little bit, and he turns that little orb of light into a big old light sword. This is where I got the name of the boss. Skogsgrit? Look it up if you want.
I think so, yeah.
You end up taking her down the last third time. She kind of crawls away a little bit. You end up like getting on top of her chest, and you end up brutally stabbing the fuck out of her face. Now, I wondered, what do you do if you don't? Well, she ends up killing you. No matter which way you do it, she's going to end up killing you. Like there's no taking it easy. Like you can stop. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can like continue stabbing it for quite a while. I did like a couple of hits. And like,
you can go forever. You can't.
Can you? Okay.
I tested it. It can go. You can go for as long as you press the button.
Okay, yeah.
So did you get the achievement for it?
Oh, I didn't know there was achievement.
Mm-hmm.
I only did like 2 or 3 times. Like, that's enough.
So there is a wall, I guess, if you will. So the achievement pops at 100.
I'm sorry, you cut out there. What'd you say?
If at least the achievement pops at 100.
Jesus Christ.
So like 100 stabs. Yeah, I know. It gets unsettling. But if you don't, at least in normal playthrough or whatever, like whatever difficulty I'm on, if you didn't do it at least 4, then you died. So I did it 3 times on the second time I did that boss fight, and like when I came back to do it, and I did it 3 because I was like, oh, I did 100, I don't need to do it that much, and I died So I had to do it for I think
Yeah,
four.
I
Then
think
the
the
fifth
camera
time
angle
was the
changes
one
to
that
kind of
was,
let you know that,
big
hey, you're
one.
going to just keep doing this
Yeah.
if you want to, kind of thing.
Yeah, but you do have to do it more than like once.
Yeah, I'm killing her, obviously, because you're stabbing her to death in the face. And then Tuva says, "What have you done?" Which kind of confused me a little bit. I'm like, well, she's going to kill me
So
anyways.
this part
but-
actually, that part, like, she was like, now I think she's talking about, because when you kill this thing, the forest burns down and it's like a whole thing. And so I think she's saying, what have you done there? But
the burnout
like,
force is part of the witch hunt.
but it happens right after this boss fight, because the witch hunt happened because of this.
Oh, really? Okay,
monster.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
Yeah, there's a story.
And if you
tells-
and
Hey,
if
the
you
marshal,
notice
yeah.
all the, and all the witches, like all the people in the witch hunt, they hang or like
Hang or
pointing,
crucifix,
telling you
yeah.
where to go and stuff. Like
Yeah.
this is because of like what you had done.
And so it's this whole thing where, they burn down the forest, and she's like, "Ollie, what have you?" or "Ule, what have you done?" It's like, well, no, but this is a monster.
I was gonna
like,
die
and
if I did.
I was going to die. So like, yeah, did I go like super crazy and stab the fuck out of her? For sure I did. But like, to the point of like, there's not an option to not kill her. Like, if I don't press that button, she smokes me, and then what are you gonna do? Be like, monster, what have you done? Like, you killed this child.
I
Like,
think it was more
gonna
of
do that.
how hard Ollie went on it, or Uli.
I think it was because the forest burned down. Is what she was
Gotcha.
saying. Like, well, what happened? It was like, well,
Maybe done, yeah.
I murdered a monster.
All right, so as she ends up turning to earth, and you run off through a gray, broken, burnt down woods. With the song from earlier, it's Bloom something. I actually have it on my Spotify now. But yeah, you kind of walk through there, the song again. You're starting to see the hanging, crucified women who are actually from the witch hunts. You arrive at a town called Nisholt. You go into a church and unravel some fingers, which I thought was kind of an interesting little interactive part, to where like you have to hold down individual buttons, and you're holding down like 4 to 5 buttons just to undo the hand. You do that, I think, like twice in this game, which I thought was
They
kind
do
of
it twice,
interesting. As you undo that to get the fingers to get out of the door, this is where we run into the Bramble zombies. You end up sneaking past them. As long as you're behind them or to the side of them, they usually probably don't see you. Took me a little bit to figure out where to go, because I could have swore that one on the right was going to find me if I went to the left side of him, but he doesn't. And you can kind of tell because they path it to where, like, hey, we're going to put birds in these other sections so you can't go through the easy route. Because if you let the birds go off, they're going to know. So yeah, you sneak past a couple of them. Some of them you kind of like have to go on one side of some bunch of boxes to shine your light, so that way it attracts a bunch of them so you can get past where they're standing. You end up finding a book about the prior boss battle, a prior boss in that battle, the Skogsgret, who end up luring men, which started the witch hunt. And it got so escalated that it even got down to the point to where they ended up burning down the forest. The town went mad. Further through the town, you get in some dark rooms with zombies and another potion room. Christian, I'm assuming this is where you said some of the jump scares were?
Well, yeah, because like if you go in through these rooms, like there's zombies that are in the dark parts of some of the houses that you go through, and you don't know they're there until you go, oh, I'll turn the light on, and then as soon as you turn the light on, they jump right at you.
So at the
None of those got
Yeah,
me.
no
I'm
got
not
me
saying
like
that but they are jump scares. Like, you didn't get got by it, but they are. And also, the whole point of this is that this whole second part of this game, and Preston even brought up earlier, it definitely is the same level of spooky as mouthwashing, and you guys were clutching your pearls over that game.
Was I clutching? It was
I don't
spooky. I don't recall.
You guys
in
were
that
like,
game.
it's way spookier than Christian would have to tell you. Oh, it actually scared me in different parts. And I had this whole thing about it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
well, yeah. I mean, it did. The I would put the whole like celestial spirit horse thing above anything that I ran into in this game. But you know,
I think this game goes just as far as grotesque body horror stuff.
Dress body horror, sure. I'll give you that. All right. So after you go through these dark rooms, you got another potion room. You find a journal depicting a plague of zombies soon after the witch hunt. And it's kind of a little sad story. I think it's like somebody's girlfriend is like waiting for them to come back, but she's like kind of just sitting in there and got a little journal entry kind of deal. You run through a graveyard, being chased by zombies. They end up falling down a bridge as you obviously get across it at the last minute. You end up climbing up a tower, and this is where an eclipse starts to happen. You light up the tower at the top. You start to trip balls, kaleidoscope style is what I have down in my notes, and end up back at the bottom. You start taking a boat towards the mountain. The light starts fading in and out, and it goes dark. And when it comes back, you see someone sitting behind you, an older person with a rake.
So, really quick, during this part, I just want to say, so I played this after we recorded the last episode.
Okay.
So we, obviously, for people who listened to last week, you'll know that Alex and I talked at length with Travis about Berserk and an eclipse and all this other stuff.
Fair.
There's a moment where when the game pans up and I see the eclipse start to happen, I go, fuck you. I was like, and in my head, I was like, if this goes to that point, not like I didn't think it was going to go that far, obviously, to like what the actual eclipse is, but I was like, if this game tries to do something on that level, I was like, I am never going to let this go. But then it doesn't, so I was like, it's fine.
So as you're boating across towards the mountain, lights fading in and out, that's when that little someone pops up behind you. And the boss battle starts. It kind of does a fade a couple times, just to kind of creep you the fuck out. And then the hand reaches around Oli and goes into this like alternate dimension, to where it's a really big version of this rake person. It's called, their name is Pesta. So you're needing to shoot the eyes, but you're also avoiding the large rake, rats coming out of the mouth, and then what I put down as floor face, which actually got me to chuckle a little bit. Because
he's like, ma'am.
And he just goes, ma'am, ma'am, ma'am. And I'm like, oh, this is
I was
so
gonna say,
off.
I was not a fan of this fight.
I wasn't a big fan. The rake was kind of hard to tell like where it was sometimes until you.
It wasn't mechanically. I just thought it went way too long.
Like, because they
you had to do
four times.
You had to hit him 3 times in each fight, and then you had to do it 3 times.
Yeah, and it goes back and forth from
like,
the boat to the fading of the light, and then back to that world like 3 or 4 times, where it's like, okay.
Yeah, and I started to think too, because like the fading of light, like it goes like womp womp womp, like, it keeps going in and out, like Preston was saying. And to me, I was like, what is happening in this eclipse? Like, is it just like revolving around the sun? Like it's like a door. Like I was like, what is happening? Like, but yeah, there was that piece. But the fight, it was a little too long for my taste.
Agreed. I like the fight. If it would have ended after the first, maybe second one, because they had new mechanics. But the third time, I had the same feeling. I was like, okay, this is going on too long, and it got to the point where it was going on so long. I was like, am I missing whatever cue it is to
I thought there was some. I was like, am I not supposed to move the boat? Like I actually had a thinking. I was like, does it want me to not row? Because I noticed, if you notice, like you don't move as much as Oli will row that entire time. You do not make any sort of distance.
I press every other button, being like, should I be doing something else now? Like, nope. Okay, let's go back in here.
Yeah.
So you get across there. The land goes black and white again, and you get a red stream of blood. You end up climbing up the mountain again. The same kind of like deal that we've been doing over and over again. That same little mountain section from the beginning. This time you clear out the Bramble, and you're dealing with all your regret. Once you start going through all that regret that you've had this entire game, the edge that you fell off at the beginning, now the mountain kind of does this, like I said, again, a Matrix kind of just zooms in real quick towards the door, and now that little archway is now an entrance to the mountain. So you go into the little section, you see the big picture of the king, and you find a door back to the library with book part 2 for the Mountain King story. Talking about, he did actually end up finding a witch. He didn't kill her or anything like that, but he ended up getting the flower, cures his son, and then someone ended up stabbing his son. And the king just goes absolutely crazy bonkers. They mentioned in the part 1 that the kid was the only thing keeping the darkness at bay, obviously from losing his wife as well. But once he lost his son, it's just, unleashed.
He went on a hunt to find out who killed his son. Here's the thing. I
He
actually
going on a hunt.
so
He went down and just took out the entire town. And just Bramble going everywhere. He's just kind of devouring the town.
yeah, he got pit. He was like, somebody killed my son, and you all are gonna
Yeah,
pay because I don't
everyone's
know who
gonna
did
die.
it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I think so. Everything he did in the beginning, right? Like hunting all the witches and killing all of them because nobody would help him. All that other stuff, super bad. Blah blah blah. I think the second somebody kills his kid that he finally brings back, there is no way that anybody, whoever did that, could have thought that that was going to end any other way.
Oh yeah.
Like,
why?
this dude just massacred the countryside
For a
for
flower,
a cure to go look to cure for his son. He goes and cures his son, and then he's like, guys, hey, look, my fault. I know I was crazy. My kid's back. Everything's copacetic. We're cool. And some dude was like, you know what? Fuck that. We're killing that kid. You're telling me no one in the room when that dude was planning that was like, you sure that's what you want to do? You're positive. Because old boy just showed us how crazy he is. Do we really? Why don't we just move instead? We could all just move, and then he could be the king of nothing. And nope. We're going to kill his kid, and then we're all going to be fucking shocked when he comes down with superpowers and murders us all.
Oh yeah, which he does. And then the witch was actually gonna visit to kind of see the cured son. Notices all this crazy bullshit happening and encases the town in the Bramble Mountain, where trolls now feed the king. So you leave the library into the prince's room. You do a little interesting clock puzzle. You pick up little items here and there. You find like a 2, a 6, like a 10, shit like that. You do the clock puzzle. It opens up the prince's wardrobe where you can get his little outfit. So Uli is no longer filled with bloody, nasty smelling clothes. From here, you enter a large workshop with trolls in there. Kind of looks like a masonry shop. And the shock waves are pushing out just like it was earlier in the game. So, going through the room, avoiding the shock waves to get to a big door. Excuse me, I'm very sorry. I'm all burpy today. You open to find the huge king and see the sack with your sister in it as well. You climb up to rescue her, but a troll ends up showing up and feeds that sack to the king. As you slowly see your sister fall into the mouth. Then the king ends up eating the troll, and that's when you get the boss fight, which I thought was kind of odd. Like the trolls have been feeding him. I guess either they're careful or they're not careful. I'm assuming it's because I remember the narrator mentioning to us like, we opened the door because to open the door to get to the king, you have to take down the flowers, and it's like the door hasn't been opened in God knows how many years or whatever. I don't know if that unleashed something from the king to make him move.
Is while we were climbing behind him on the chair, like before we get up there to get to the table. When we're up there, we're killing some of the bramble that was holding some of his arms in place.
That's right,
yeah.
And that's what. Yeah, that's how he's able to grab him. So he grabs the troll, ends up eating him as well, and then shoves this like little rock platform aside to where you're standing, and you go into the boss fight. This one, the king has like bramble flowers on the shoulder, so you're essentially avoiding his attacks, hitting the bramble flowers when you can on the shoulder. So at the first phase, you're dodging a knife and fork. Then phase 2, he whips out the sword and the mace. After taking down the bramble on the king's shoulders, the king is now able to overcome the darkness. So he pushes away the big slab and stabs at the heart of the bramble. You end up climbing up the sword to go inside the king to save your sister. But as you're climbing up his beard, he kind of gets up. The crown itself is like hanging from the ceiling like a chandelier, and he puts his head into it, snaps it off the chandelier kind of chains, which yanks his head up real quick and tosses Uli off. As you're flying backwards, Uli throws the light into the mouth, and you and the king are now both dead on the floor. As your body sits there with blood around it, you start seeing little pokey pokes outside the king's stomach. Lilymore ends up cutting her way out of the king with the light, and she just starts weeping next to you because she obviously knows you're dead. This is when the narrator chimes a little bit more. Tuva has one more gift for you, and the light ends up reviving Uli. The place starts to crumble around, and Lemus is there to help you escape again. Cut to black, and you have Lilymore waking up in the home. And Ollie is gone this time. You search around the room, you see the wooden figures that we've been finding, so it kind of even shows you like little dark circles of which ones you might have missed. or how many you might have missed. Again, just kind of looking around the room a little bit, only to find Uli outside the window. And they say something nice about, she feels comfort, having Uli around. And that's when you get credits. So, that is Bramble the Mountain King. How do we feel?
So I thought it was weird that Tuva decides to help you here, since she was like all up in arms about what happened at the forest.
I think it was kind of intended that towards he has the light in case he needs it. Like if something worse happens to him, I can revive him with the light or something like that.
I know. Yeah, it was. I
think.
Just thought it was...
I think that's a lost in translation miss. Like
maybe.
So I was after this, as we were talking about it, I was just double checking what I looked at the other day and like what's based off of real and what's
your Tuva fan art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, like what's based off of real and what's not. So like the nurse woman, like the woman that killed the babies, like that's not real folklore. That was original for this game. But like Tuva is real folklore and has a story. She's like a princess and something else. And then the Pesta is both real and not real. Like Pesta is what in Nordic is the plague. Like that is the word for the plague. So like pestilent sort of thing. So those are personifications. That wasn't real. But like Lemus is real in Nordic and stuff. So I can only imagine, Christian, the Tuva part is probably more of like, we aren't familiar with that story, so maybe there's something there lost in translation, I would guess, because it is like a Nordic folklore story with her. That's kind of weird. I was the same way. I was like, hey, why was she weird with us when we killed that monster, and then why back at the end? But that's all I can assume.
Yeah. No, I really digged it. Honestly, my only two sort of like gripes with the game is I think the Pesta fight and then the King fight were both a little too like long for my taste for the tools that you get in this game. I was like when I saw the 15 fucking flowers show up on the King, I was like, okay, yep, all right, I gotta shoot these 15 times. All right, I can do that, I guess. Like I was like, it doesn't need to be that long. Same thing with the Pesta fight. I think all the other fights in that game were like the perfect length. I liked all of like the escape sections. I thought the whole, like, all of the world building, everything about it, I thought was really good. I dug it. I thought it was a cool game. I had never heard about it before we started doing this. And I think that definitely whatever this studio does next is for sure on the radar.
I'll be keeping
like they, yeah. I think they told a really good story. I thought that potentially because I didn't know anything about it, and so I went in blind, but like it does a great job of subverting your expectations pretty quickly. Like even in the beginning, right? Like they show the storybook and you're like, oh, that's pretty dark. That girl's getting ripped apart by the Bramble thing. Like that's a little much. But then even it goes way farther. Like in that second part, like what we were talking about, like it goes hard. And not in a bad way. I don't think. It's just like it definitely is like it the escalation as you're playing it, I think, is good. Yeah, I really dug it. I'm excited to see what I would probably go. I think if I'm gonna do the I go 4 out of 5. I think is where I would sit at. I very little things to complain. I think the only thing really is, like I said, that those last 2 areas I think were just like could have been a little bit or tweaked a little bit differently for my taste. And some of the platforming stuff was a little weird, but other than that, I think it was totally good. Yeah. Like very, very good.
Yeah. I really liked the story. I really liked the artwork. I liked what they were going for. It lived up to what I was hoping it would be, right? Because like I said, I've known about this game for a while, so I was super excited when you picked it. I do have gripes, but they're not like necessarily bad gripes of game design or anything like that. I think they could have gone further. So I wish they introduced the mechanic where you could pick stuff up and you could spin it around, but it never gets used for anything, right?
You do it a couple times. You
drop the
like
matchbooks,
except for the key in the beginning. Yeah.
Other than that, you don't.
That's it. But like I could drop the matches in the matchbook. I could find all the dolls, like the wooden carvings,
something else you picked up, and I kept on turning it around, be like, well, maybe I can get something out of it, and just never happened.
It was the jewelry box in the princess room.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So there's, I kind of wish they would go a little bit further with the puzzling in some of those.
I agree.
But Other than that, I agree with Christian. Like, I loved all the fights, but the Pesto one specifically was a little long. Like I said, to the point where I was kind of like, "Am I doing something wrong?" And then the King didn't bother me as much. It was long. I think they did a better job at save pointing that within some of the stages.
final boss
So if you
fight,
died, like you kind of say,
Oh, like in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah, it was just like, it was like the first one had like 9 hit points. The second one has
Yeah.
like 15 or 20. And you're just like, guys,
it's a lot.
I'm aware. Yep, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I loved the music throughout. I even thought the music of the King fight was interesting because it was very different. It was more of
Yes,
like a
it
song
was,
that
but
you
it was
know.
very good.
That's a
Very,
it was
very,
very
song
good.
you know, yeah, I forget which one that is.
Yeah, it was very good. So all in all, like I agree. The only thing about the ending I would have changed is I would have liked
It's the
to have
whatever.
known.
It's the March of the what? It's the fucking Witness song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
The Flight
It
of
is,
Bumblebee
the way
or
in the
what
builds.
was it?
Flight of the something whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wish at the end, like when Lily Moore is looking out the window and then all it pops up and they're like kind of happily ever after sort of thing. Like one of my favorite movies, Allie and I were talking about this the other day, like Desert Island movies. One of mine's Pan's Labyrinth. I love the fairy tale aspect of Pan's Labyrinth, right? Which is also equally dark, which is probably why I like this game so much. But I would have liked to know, like this, like was this a real fairy tale?
Yes.
Was it an
it
olive
her
fever dream? Like it left it open, and like I would have just liked some clarity on what this was. Because when you're doing something fantastical like this, it's kind of nice to know. Otherwise,
Could you imagine if Ule woke up like in a pool of sweat and was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
right?
He becomes agoraphobic. I'm never going outside.
Yeah, fuck that.
But honestly, like with that, you could have done the other thing where almost take the thing out of Pan's Labyrinth, where like Lilymore became queen or something. The king's gone or whatever.
Sure.
Like them together, something goofy. But as a whole, I liked it. I was thinking, I've been bouncing back and forth between a 3-5 and a 4.
Same. Same.
And I think that the 3-5, if I go that way, is more of like I wish they went further with like the puzzles and maybe a little like made the extra exploring off the beaten path a little bit more worth it. But based on story and execution and everything else, I thought it was great. So I would put it somewhere there. If I had to pick, I would probably also say 4. But yeah, it's great, and it was well done on timing. I was like I said, I was right at 180
Pacing,
minutes,
short and
even
sweet.
3
Doesn't
hours.
overstay its
Yep.
welcome. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I feel the same. I was like you. I was bouncing between 3.5 and 4 when I was thinking about it the other night. I'm like, you know what? Let's give it the 4. It's a short and sweet game. It's the first game that they made. Like let's give them a little bit of credit. Now, the only thing that I was kind of nitpicking on is. I was like, okay, what kind of alternate endings do we got? You know, we got all these statues we're collecting, and there are no alternate endings. Like that is the ending you get. Like you get a trophy for getting all the statues. Don't get me wrong. But I wish they would just something a little extra. You know, for a game that's only like 5 hours long, like maybe Uli gets snatched up by something. Maybe Lemus is outside the door with Uli. Like if you get all the statues, like just something small, like to kind of reward you for finding all those statues. There's a lot of them. There's like 15 or something like that of them. And if you get all of them and you got something cool like, hey, Lemus is hanging out in the backyard this time and waves at you at the very end, like just something as simple as that would have been a nice touch. But it's not something I'm going to super hold against them. Yeah, again, I agree. 4 out of 5. I think this is a very solid game for what it is. It does the job. It gets in and out. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yep.
Well, I guess I'm gonna ask. We know the answer here. So Christian is up. This next game, Christian, what's it gonna be?
Oh, it's gonna be Metal Gear Solid 2. So we are moving on. So done are the days of the PlayStation 1. We are firmly in the PS2 era.
Okay.
My favorite console and yours, the PS2. And so we are gonna be playing Metal Gear Solid 2. Some notes for the beginning here. So this one, because we're coming to this game, obviously, years later. There will be some settings that you guys might not understand in the beginning, so I'm just going to tell you what to press. Do not look anything up. Don't double check this. Just do what I say, and then we'll just go from there. Okay. And we'll explain it a little bit later. But you'll start up when you go to hit new game. There will be a screen that will show, and it will say, do you want to play tanker-plant? Just tanker or just plant. You are going to hit tanker-plant. You're going to pick that. The next screen will say radar. It'll have you pick your radar mode. So mode 1, mode 2, or like something like like I don't remember what the third one is. You're just gonna hit mode 2, and then those should be the default ones because those are the default options that the game came out with. It's 2 pages, Preston. I don't know why you're acting like this is like the biggest
like
thing
why
in the
you have
world.
these options at the very beginning. Like I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but you gotta pick this selection before you even play the fucking
Because-
game. Because Kojima has to do some weird ass shit. Because he's fucking.
It's not that. It's
cool.
It's. I'll explain it later, but it's
Sure.
just because there's the way this game came out. It'll make sense after we get through this first part. So, you pick Radar Type 2, and then after that, it'll be difficulty modes. You pick whatever you want. That's how you ever want to play, and then the game will start, and you're good. So, from where we will play is we're gonna do that. From this first section, we're gonna play the entire tanker level. So the entire tanker mission, we are going to play through, and then at the very end there will be a super long cutscene with Snake and the boss of that area. And at the end of it, you'll know when you hit the end because there will be a screen that will pop up and ask you if you want to save your progress. You will hit yes. A cutscene will immediately play after that. Watch that whole cutscene. And then as soon as you are back in control, turn the game off. And you're good.
Okay. So play through the
Got that,
tanker,
Preston.
cutscene, save, cutscene, stop.
Yep.
And I'll go back here.
But also tiger-plant.
I know.
and
I
then
already
option
forgot.
2
I'm
on
gonna
the
have to
map.
fucking look it up and put it down.
I'll
on paper
text it
and
to you
Two
guys.
things.
It's literally, it's 2 options.
I'll put it in the comments down
most-
below if you guys want to
Probably.
It's 2 options.
Jesus.
It is. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, Alex. How many options is it? You count them.
It was 2. It was 2. I repeated
Right.
them actually a second ago. It was,
3
it was
options.
fast,
Right, so it's
it
2.
was-
So
Tanker,
listen,
plant,
like-
tanker, and plant. There's 3 options.
No, it's 2 screens. It's
No,
2 options worth of
it's
set.
Yeah.
2 sets of options.
Yeah. Yes.
No, it's just-
right, which
yeah.
is what I said.
Tanker-plant, option 2.
Radar 2. Yeah.
See. Right
I'll text it to you guys. It's not that deep. I do not understand.
I don't understand
Why
why
you
this
guys
has
are
to be a
making this
thing, but we'll find out, I guess.
You will.
I mean, your face kind of made it a thing, so you were getting real sassy as he was saying it. So,
yes.
all right. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us as we finished off Bramble. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out. It's really good, really short, spot on. But otherwise, feel free to play along with us as we trek through Metal Gear Solid 2, which is Christian's next pick. And with that, everybody, don't forget to check out Preston on the weekends as we're back. Are we back to our normal schedule? Star Wars
After
Sundays?
this episode, we will be back to our normal schedule.
All right, back to our normal schedules. Check us out there, and then we'll see you next week, everybody. With that, Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or to check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. If watching is more your thing, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@thetestingroom, or watch us live on twitch.tv/testingroomlive. To leave comments or ask questions, you can follow us on Instagram @testingroompod, leave a comment on YouTube, or send them in to testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.